Madilynn Dale here, the chapter goddess. I am a mom, author, blogger, freelancer, podcaster, producer, and overall creative. With this show, I really want to focus on creatives and bring their authentic self to life. How are they motivated to pursue their passions? What have been the struggles along the way? Does self-care play an important role in who they are today and how they connect with the creative flow? Bringing one's authentic self to the forefront is important in this world that we live in currently. Sharing your self-care, your tips, and how you stay on track for things without losing it completely is also important. Self-care is not talked about enough, and authenticity and self-care are what I like to highlight with my creatives, as well as getting to know them. So get ready for a fun and entertaining show. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get ready to meet this episode's guest. Hello, everyone, and happy end of 2023. It's crazy. This year is coming to an end, and we have reached like the final week of the year. I can't believe it's already like here, but cheers to 2024. Today I have a special guest for you guys to meet. I'm going to be chatting with this amazing award-winning author. He's got some interesting and exciting books out there, and I'm really excited to pick his brain. But without further ado, here is today's guest, guys. Hello.
Hello. Appreciate being here.
Yes, thank you for jumping on. So, Dan, go ahead and introduce yourself to our listeners and viewers. Tell them a little bit about who you are.
Okay. I'm at the tail end of a very long legal career. I have wanted to be a writer and thought I should be a writer since I was a freshman or a sophomore in high school. Had a lot of frustration over the years because I wasn't doing it, but one way to look at that is I was able to do things to afford to be able to do it. So here at the end, I can see the end of my legal career on the far horizon out there. I've been able to really devote some time and attention to writing, and I've published 5 books in the last few years, and that's where I'm at the moment.
Nice. So what has it been like for you writing, which I'm going to pull this up from these books. What has it been like for you on this writing journey?
Can you repeat that?
What has it been like for you on this writing journey? You've got quite a few books already out.
Well, in some ways, some of them were written, at least in part, over the years when I would have these starts and stops. Okay, I'd be on a sabbatical or something. I'd be able to write for a while and then leave it alone and go back to it. So a little bit of it was there as sort of far from actually being final, but sort of the kernel of something I could do something with. But I feel like I have not that much time to get a whole lot of work out there, and without stupidly rushing it. I just want to get moving and keep moving on it. So,
yeah, keep that momentum pushing you forward.
Yeah.
Which one of these books that you've got, do you have one that was more difficult to write than the others?
Now that's an interesting question. So to explain what the books are, the first book that I published is called Tenebrae, a memoir of love and death, and it's both a memoir, but it's poetry, and it's about the last illness and death of my wife of cancer. That one was hard because number one, the subject matter. But number two, that was the first thing I had done. I was taking on poetry, which I really hadn't thought of myself as a real poet up to that point. So that had its difficulty. The next book is called Dewdrops, and it's a novella sandwiched between two long short stories.
Mm-hmm.
In a funny way, that was probably the easiest one to write. I don't know why. I suppose because it was shorter. Each part of it was. And then I started this detective series, crime detective sort of thing, and those books, especially the second and third in the series, have been difficult for me. I think they've turned out fine, but plotting those books and trying to do it right has been very challenging at times. So in that way, those were harder to write. I'm one of those. If I was in a writer's room or something, and somebody said, "Here, write this," I could do it. But when you have to come up with everything and have it all make sense and true to the theme of the book and all that, and also interesting, it's not easy.
Yeah, no, I totally feel that because I do a little bit of freelance ghostwriting on the side, and I find it easier to write stories for those individuals than coming up with my own because they're like, here's what I want to happen in the story. And you're like, okay, I can do that. But when you're putting it together, it's like, okay, wait, does this make sense here? Like, do you want that? Like, yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you plan out your novels or do you pant?
I do start with a very rough. First of all, I do always know the end.
Mhm.
I know the last page, but getting there is something else. And often I know how I'm going to start, but I will do a rough outline of where I think I'm going to go. But it's very rough, not not much detail at all. And once I get into it, often I find, no, well, that idea didn't make sense, and you end up in a dead end kind of thing. And then, or you get it, and truly, often the characters and sort of the momentum of your plot actually dictates what's going to happen next that you never planned. Or in my case, that's true. So it's that whole uh, middle part of the book that is an adventure.
That it is. That's always one of these. I feel like a struggle for myself as well as doing the middle and finding things that make sense to keep it moving forward. You said in the questionnaire that you don't much of a writing routine. How do you get into the mindset to write?
Uh, there, there's this is one of these answers that if you ask me next week, it might be a very different answer. But I, uh, I, I, I described it in the questionnaire. My writing process is manic depressive, and it's sometimes I'm stuck. Sometimes I can fight being stuck. Sometimes I don't want to be stuck, and sometimes I'm just writing a lot. And I do have, uh, I guess, from working the way I have all my life, I do have. There's a goal there, and I'm going to reach it. There's no doubt about that. I can't really leave it by the side of the road, sort of thing. So I don't know if I'm doing a good job of answering your question, because I've evolved over it. Before, in the earliest writing stages for me, I would have to move my geographic location quite a bit. So I'd do something in the house, but then I'd have to go to a coffee shop, or I'd come into the law office and on the weekend and do something there. But
Yeah.
but as a general rule, if I can get a good springboard on Friday, the weekends are best for me.
Nice.
What I've not been able to do and wish I could do is, get up every morning and write so many words, but it just doesn't happen that way for me.
Yeah, no, I can't do the get up and write thing in the mornings. Like with being a parent and stuff, there's a lot of people, they're like, oh, just get up before your child does. Yeah, no, my kid knows I'm up. I swear. It's like if I get up at 5 in the morning,
Wow.
mom's awake, I'm going to be awake. And you're like, I need it this time. You're not supposed to be awake. You don't ever get up this early. Yeah.
And of course, that's a whole different problem than I've ever faced. So
Yes.
another thing to be grateful for, not being a mother, but
Yeah.
it has its challenges, I'm sure.
It does. What has been your favorite thing about writing and publishing so far?
The finished product. I like very little part. Well, I like everything after the first draft.
Mm-hmm.
The first draft is really suffering for me, and I know I'm going to get there. And it's not that it's just total agony or anything, but it's harder. But once I get a first draft and know I can now start revising it, and really make it good, and then really close to the finish line, if you will. I really enjoy that part, and I really enjoy having them out there as things that I can build on and use to go forward.
Yeah, that makes sense. With working in the law field and writing and everything, do you have some form of self-care that is your go-to to help you kind of like wind down and let go?
I knew this was coming, and I have to admit that I'm not really good at this. I don't really fully understand it, uh, uh, even what it is, which may indicate that I don't do it. But uh, uh, I'm very happy to be completely wrapped up in some kind of work, and
Yeah.
and and I don't really understand the concept of work-life balance. I mean,
Yeah.
I actually think I have it. I mean, when I want to go on vacation, I go on vacation. You
Well,
know,
there you go.
yeah,
Yeah, you have a good work-life balance.
and so uh, and I'm just dull, I guess. I mean, I don't have anything else to do or whatever. But uh, so I think I answered that question as
Yeah,
the Serenity Prayer plus work plus tennis or something like that.
there you go.
Which,
That works. Yeah. So do you play tennis then, or is that
yes,
just
what I've decided to do, I never played much when I was younger,
Mhm.
and I always thought I was better than I played because I didn't play enough. And so now I've decided to become the best old man tennis player I can be. So I'm working
Do
really
it?
hard at it.
Yes, there you go. See, that is considered a form of self-care. So you
Yeah,
stick with that
yeah,
tennis.
and I do a lot of traveling, and I'm a big uh, whale chaser, and kayaker and things like that. So it's not like I don't do other things, but I don't have a regime, if you will.
Yeah, and that's totally okay because it sounds like you're kind of an outdoorsy person. So do you draw a lot of like inspiration from nature for like
Yes,
art in
it took me well into my 30s to
general?
really begin to appreciate it. Could have cared less at that point, but then it became really it sustained me spiritually in many ways, and strongly over the years since then.
It does have amazing benefits. I'm one of those too. I have to get out in nature to just like let go of things, and it also just rejuvenates me. Ooh. So, what do you have on deck for the future in your writing career? Are you currently working on something?
Yes, I'm at my favorite part, the end of the fourth book in this Peter O'Keefe crime detective series, uh, and it's a uh, I think all the books in the series I consider to be standalone in the sense of you can read them and not feel like you really should have read all the other ones. Hopefully, you want to read the other ones,
Yes.
but this one I fell down a rabbit hole, and I've come out with something that I think uh, could be of real significance, and that people might really grab onto. Uh,
Yeah.
it's the O'Keefe series starts in 1986, and my goal in it is to take this group of characters, and there are quite a few characters. It's not just totally one guy, uh, and literally take them through the history of our times, as far
Yeah.
as I can get before succumbing to senility or death, one or the other.
Oh.
But this is the fourth book. Although
Mhm.
so far I'm still in 1988. I
Yeah.
haven't gotten very far, but I, I ran into this on a podcast, and it's about the satanic panic and the parallel moral panic that was going on in the 80s, and that resulted in in a lot of sexual abuse claims that were false, especially against daycare teachers and people like that. Uh, and believe me, I'm usually on the other side of the picture. I'm a board member of a international organization devoted to curbing child predation of all kinds, including sex.
Mhm.
But that just showed if you the fanaticism that you can develop when you think you're doing good and you go over the edge, and and it in a lot of ways resonates with a lot of things going on today, and and also any time when your zeal gets out of control. And so I've got a lot of hope. Not that the existing books haven't done fine, but but that this may really, uh, be more popular or catch on more. Not that it's a happy book at all, but that people will be gripped by it. I hope.
It sounds like it. So, with each of those books being kind of like its own thing, where did the inspiration spark for the series? Like, where did you get that?
Uh, I when I was a would be writer,
Hmm.
thinking I should be writing, that kind of thing. I thought of myself as nothing but a literary fiction type person,
Hmm.
and still do, by the way. But I thought this was back in the mid 1980s, about the time these books start, uh, and I thought, uh, you know, if I can do something that's of a quote literary quality in terms of theme, plot, characters, that sort of thing, but put it in a more interesting format, and
Hmm.
that is a detective crime kind of format, then that can only make it sort of better, and maybe make more people want to read it or whatever. I'm not sure it's not less people in the end when you get stuck in a genre, but and it what it allows me is to have some kind of exciting plots, some violence and sex and all that. Not overboard, not over the top,
Yeah.
but to have people intrigued by what's going to happen next, but at the same time, try to do the kind of things that a author of quote literary fiction would do.
Ooh, yeah. And I actually like novels like that are part of a series but can be read standalone because sometimes you don't always pick up the book that's originally the first book. in the series. So it's kind of nice to have that option when you're picking up books like that. Is that kind of also something you grew up reading outside of studies and stuff for school?
No, I really read the great writers, and that was what I was completely immersed in. Although I did end up picking up at some point, Raymond Chandler, especially an author named Ross McDonald, and no relation, but another guy named John D. McDonald, who were writing really some pretty interesting and serious and quote literary stuff in the 50s and 60s, and so that made some kind of impression on me. And you read Elmore Leonard or somebody like that, and you see what can be done the way he did it, and the one if somebody asked me my most favorite book that's in there, it's Robert Stone's book. It's called Dog Soldiers.
Oh, I've heard of that. I've never read it.
They did a movie of it and changed a great name to a stupid one called Who'll Stop the Rain, with Nick Nolte and Tuesday Weld. But that book made me see how you could really do some really interesting things with that kind of premise.
Ooh, nice. So with your writing, did you kind of aspire to write similar to that author?
Actually, no. I hope I'm not writing similar to anybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, you kind of want to be right as like in your head, like you want to be good, like they are, kind of
Oh,
thing.
definitely. Oh, there's no doubt about that. But I'd rather. This is absurd. I'm going to say it anyway, though. I'd rather write like Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Whatever. But
Definitely don't want to go into the plagiarism stuff with anybody like that. No stealing stuff. That's what. Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So that's a long answer to your original question. So that book should be out probably not until the spring or summer. I've been in such a hurry to get things out there that I have not gone through the process of trying to get editorial reviews, which you've got to have them in their hands with a book that's not published but done 3 or 4 months before it's out. And I've just never wanted to do that. But with this book, I'm going to do it.
Nice.
Because I think it's really got a more of a shot and I've proved a lot too. So.
It does make a difference. It in both like the marketing and like you have those reviews kind of support there already. So that's a good idea. I haven't tried that myself. I've considered it, but I've been very impatient myself when it comes to publishing my books. So yeah. And I guess when it comes to marketing though, do you have any tips that you would suggest for authors?
I wouldn't recommend anything because I don't think I know enough to do that. I will say this, that from what I know, I feel very lucky that I managed to have some capital to be able to spend on it, and feel sorry for the true starving author that I wanted to be, who can't afford to do that. And everything I know indicates that I have more money that I can spend on marketing than any publisher would spend on me at this stage of my career, certainly. So that's just, it's not even directly responsive to your question, but it's important. And the real answer though is that this has been true for me my whole life and everything I've ever done, in a variety of types of business, law, everything else. And now this, I can never know if I spend this doing this, what's it going to get me? And what does it get me? I don't know. So I've just tried to kind of cover the basic basis, if you will, and keep churning out work, and submitting to contests and make sure people know that how well I've done in those, and that sort of thing, and beyond the many podcasts or whatever, because I'm thinking it's a body of work and it's kind of a long game,
It
and
is.
and it may be a never game, but I'm happy enough now to and feel like, all right, this was worth it, and, so I'm trying to. I can't really. I don't think I haven't done terrible on sales, but I haven't done so well that I can be advising people.
Yeah. Well, I think
How to
the
do it.
book contest thing is actually a really good idea. I did really like my first book contest this year, and I was able to win quite a few rewards on it. I was surprised, but that is definitely almost like an underused method of getting work out there, because it does put your work in front of other people. It's got to be in front of the judges, and it's on their website, and like they push it out there. So that's a good actually
Yeah,
marketing
and you
method.
get the stickers to stick on your book, and
Yes.
all that. So it's yeah. So it's very validating.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
for sure. When it comes to the contest, how do you find them? Do you just kind of search for them, or keep an eye out for things to pop
Well,
up?
is it Ally? The first of all, there's a organization I should know. I think it's the Alliance of Independent Publishers. There's one that's UK based and one that's US based. The US based one is worth, as far as I'm concerned, self-published authors ought to be members of
Yeah.
that, because it really gives you all kinds of information and everything else. One thing they have, though, is they have a list of contests with
Ooh.
their recommendations of
Yeah.
what's good and not so good, and be a little doubtful about it, or whatever. So you start there, and then I'm just very alert to them, when they come across the transom,
Hmm.
and I tend to just submit. It's uh, and again, I'm fortunate enough to be able to spend the money, but I have a feeling that's a cheaper way, if you could end up coming out the other end well, to
Yeah.
get some recognition. Then how do you know that your ads are working,
Yeah.
or any of that sort of thing? So and once you kind of get plugged into it, you know what they are, and what to do. But that's the best place to start, is that, uh, and I think you can go on their website and get a lot of this stuff without being a member too.
Ooh, that's good to know.
I mean, you might think at first it was just for independent publishers, but
Yeah.
but it's also for authors who self-publish too.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, Dan, we are coming up on the end of our time here. So go ahead and tell our listeners and viewers where they can follow you on socials and find your work.
Well, my 5 books are everywhere in this sense. I mean, you can order them from your bookstore. They're on all the internet sites, Amazon on. And the 3 crime detectives are also audiobooks.
Ooh.
And of course, we know that market is growing. So my website's called Dan Flanigan Books, and um, now social media. I have not. I have a Twitter account, Facebook page, all that, and I would hope somebody wants to follow me. And I've vowed this year I'm actually going to do something
Yeah.
useful on it. I do occasionally send out a newsletter, which you can sign up for through my website, and that hopefully gives some people some interesting stuff that they wouldn't otherwise have.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Well, thanks a lot. It was enjoyable. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. So for those of you watching or watching later, hit the like button, subscribe. Just a little housekeeping note. I am going to be taking a break from doing shows for a little bit. Just kind of like season transfer, whatever. So it will hopefully pick up later in 2024. But yeah, guys, just sign up for my newsletter to keep up with me. Be on my website, thechaptergoddess.com. And remember, guys, to stay creative.
Well, glad I got in